Well, as mentioned, Western New York is quickly becoming the new battlefield in this budget debacle. The city of Rochester is lobbying hard for mayoral control of the local school system and the success of UB 2020. That program hinges on the passage of SUNY empowerment. And so those issues in particular are being leveraged as bargaining chips as the last piece of the budget has yet to be hammered out. Joining me now to discuss what stands between the state and a spending plan that is completely finished is Buffalo area Republican Senator George Maziarz. Senator, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Liz. It's good to be here.
So, SUNY empowerment, what is the situation in your conference on that? Were you guys prepared to vote for it? Should it have come up for a vote?
Yes, we've been strong supporters of UB 2020. Not that there hasn't been differences of opinion within the conference, but certainly from the Western New York perspective, though, UB 2020 is I think, rightfully considered to be maybe the greatest potential economic turnaround for all of Western New York.
Well,
it's been very positive in our conference.
The problem, though, was that it was embedded. The governor wanted to embed it in his last extender, if I remember correctly, and then it became a bargaining chip, right? So you guys would have voted no on that extender. You've been voting no in a block, so I would expect that you want it broken out.
Absolutely. It should not be included in the entire budget. It actually has enough merit to stand on its own. And to be honest with you, I don't know, and I was not a proponent of taking the UB 2020 and putting it into this much larger SUNY empowerment. I mean, UB, under the leadership of Dr. John Simpson, has done a great job, a 5-year study, if you will, on the positives of making this change. And then when it landed in Albany, with the support of the full Western New York delegation, suddenly, because, again, of the opposition by Sheldon Silver, by Speaker Silver, all of a sudden all the other SUNY centers at Binghamton, Albany, and Stony Brook had to be included in it. You know, again, I thought that was a slap in the face of Western New York. But look, it's a great idea. We can share it with the rest of the state. But now even that hasn't worked.
Yeah, well, do you think it's appropriate, though, for Senator Stokowski to be really holding up the revenue piece? I mean, I know that the Republicans have their differences with the revenue piece, and it has taxes, and I would not expect that you would vote for it or that any of your colleagues would vote for it. But the problem here is that there are some Democrats who won't vote for it either, and these bills have been passing across party lines. So is it appropriate for Senator Stokowski, one guy, to be holding up the revenue piece that really would finish the budget and, it should be said, would allow you to get paid?
Actually, I'm sort of happy that Senator Stokowski has, at long last, stepped up to the plate for Western New York. I mean, he should have done this 2 years ago, or 2 years ago, when he could have been chairman of the Senate Finance Committee. I mean, we've seen, Liz, we've seen the upstate businesses with the taking away of the tax credits be targeted by the downstate interest. At the same time, they get the film tax credit for almost 95% of which is favorable to New York City. I think it's about time that somebody in the majority party in the Senate drew a line in the sand and said, we're not going to take it anymore. So I'm pleased that he's done this.
Okay, well, it's a good thing that you are, because I think that a lot of his colleagues are pretty angry at him because no one's gotten paid since April 1st, and a lot of people are very upset.
Well, then they're just then they should do what Assemblyman Mark Schroeder has done, a true hero in Western New York. They should stand up to Speaker Silver and tell him when he's wrong.
Mark Schroeder is a Democrat. Okay, a lot of bipartisan love coming from your end of the state. But speaking, though, about holding things up, let's switch for a second to mayoral control, the plan for Rochester. Now, this is not in the budget, actually. This is a standalone bill.
No, it is not part of the budget.
Right.
Yes.
It's being carried by Malcolm Smith. He's a Queens Democrat. It is being championed by Bob Duffy. He's the mayor of Rochester, also the lieutenant governor candidate. Where do you stand on this bill?
You know, I don't like the way that this bill came about. And it didn't have to happen this way. Clearly there are problems with the Rochester School District, and clearly there are changes that have to be made with the Rochester School District. But what happened here, Liz, is several months ago, many months ago, a small group of people, Assemblyman Gann, Assemblyman Morelli, I suspect along with Mayor Duffy, and maybe at the instigation of Mayor Duffy, I don't know because I wasn't there. They got together, they decided to do away with an elected Board of Education never been done in New York State outside the city of New York. Do away with an elected Board of Education and put it all in the hands of the elected mayor. Now, I got a lot of respect for Bob Duffy. I think he's a good man, but he's not going to be the mayor of Rochester forever. In fact, he said as much, I think recently, that he had no plans on running for a third term as mayor.
Well,
So
now
you're
he's
gonna
going to
put
be
it into the
lieutenant
hands-
governor maybe, so it doesn't mean that obviously he's not going to be mayor if he wins that election.
Right. Well, so he's not going to be mayor either way. So you're going to put it into the hands of some unknown one individual without any input from the public. So all this happened, and they give the bill to Senator Smith from Queens, a Queens representative introducing a bill that basically takes a vote away, changes the entire education system in the city of Rochester.
Okay, well, hold on.
You know, they cut out Senator Alisi and Senator Robach, and certainly cut out myself. And I just don't think that was a very positive way of going forward.
Okay, well, they
and
cut.
getting
I
this
mean,
done.
the entire Senate delegation from the city of Rochester is Republican, so I guess I'm not entirely surprised that the Democrats would do this. But there's a number of interesting political things going on here. First of all, the bill is one vote short, was my understanding, and I know that they couldn't keep the entire Democratic conference together because Senator Ruben Diaz, who is a Bronx Democrat, would not vote yes.
Yes.
He's not been voting yes on a number of things. His excuse, or explanation, I should say, was because he didn't vote yes on the New York City mayoral control bill. Many members of your conference did. I don't know that you did yourself, but you should correct me if I'm wrong, but many members of your conference were perfectly happy to do away with the elected Board of Education in New York City. Why won't you do the same thing for Rochester?
Well, that's because many members of our conference, Senator Padovan, Senator Golden, at the time, and I believe there were one or two other members that represented the city of New York that were involved with Mayor Bloomberg in the negotiations for the mayoral control bill for the city of New York. We were involved in it. That's why I think we supported that. This was done. You know what happened, Liz? You know exactly what happened with this bill. As I said, months ago, David Gann, Mayor Duffy, Joe Morelli got in a room and said, you know what? We'll come up with a bill. We'll cut out Alisi and Robach entirely, and we'll jam it down their throats at the end. They're going to have to go for it because we have 32 votes. You know, they didn't depend on Ruben Diaz voting against it. And quite frankly, I don't think there are 20 votes in the Assembly Democratic Conference for this particular bill. I think Malcolm Smith put that out there because I think he wants people to believe that it's close. There are, and you know, and I'm not speaking for them, but Senator Bill Perkins, Senator Shirley Huntley have been vehemently against mayoral control in the city of New York and anywhere else.
Yeah, true. Well, at the time that you actually...
It didn't have to be this way. It didn't have to be this way. I'm a little bit surprised, quite frankly, that Bob Duffy didn't stand up to Gantt and Morelli and say, no, at the beginning, let's be inclusive, let's get everybody involved in this. I suspect that for partisan reasons within the city of Rochester, they wanted to exclude Alisi and Robach. Now they need Alisi and Robach. And you know, and I don't think that Senator Alisi and Senator Robach are necessarily opposed to. I think they're opposed to this in its current form. I mean, they didn't even see the bill until it was introduced.
Well, hold on. So, interestingly, though, when you first started to negotiate in New York City for the repass